welcome back to Japan, where we're going to be doing a reaction and review to Raise a Suilen song that, I'm going to level with you, I don't know what the song is called completely from what was written on the screen. Let's just assume that I worked it out and put it on the thumbnail after I'd recorded this. As always, this is the review. If you want to see the reaction I just did, pause this, click the little link in the description below. It opens up a separate player where you can watch the video with me should you wish to, should you have not heard the song before or just want to see how I responded upon first hearing it. I've just heard it. I'm about to tell you what I think. So, as always, I'll take a sip from the coffee cup, and when the coffee cup is finished, that's when which is like one sip, tiny little sip, that's when I'm going to start reviewing. So if you haven't seen the reaction and you want to see it, pause it now. But now it's too late. Okay, so here comes the review. Now this was an interesting one because we've touched on this group once before, and the one we listened to before was also a live video. Like I say, I know they're from this Bang Dream cartoon thing, like the anime thing. I'm not too familiar with that, but it seems to introduce some interesting groups, some other groups we've listened to as well, and maybe we should focus a whole weekend on listening to some of their groups at one point. But they seem to produce some interesting stuff, and my understanding is it's all under the guise of like an anime thing, which, like I said, I need to do some more research on that, but we don't pre-research too much just to make everything a genuine first reaction so that we can really unpack it from a neutral standpoint. So as a result, it just seems that they don't have any of normal style videos, thus I'm not hearing their studio stuff, but when you hear them live, it seems partly maybe because of that, the production value is really high, and this stuff seems to be from like maybe even a commercially broadcast live performance, because the quality seems to have been mixed really well, so I think we're getting a good idea of what the song is here. Now, the things that I noticed from the first time I heard them seem to be very strong again here. So let's just cover them first of all to get the obvious out of the way. Lead singer's voice, brilliant. Very strong, not what you'd expect from anything attached to anime, just going by a stereotype there. You know, it's not the usual sort of happy, high-pitched voice. I kind of like those as well. I mean, you guys know I really enjoy stuff like Silent Siren, which has that as well. But this was a really sort of powerful, energetic voice, you know, something you'd expect almost to be soulful. You know, it's really great to hear it in this kind of music. It's a complete juxtaposition from what you usually expect. Kind of almost reminds me of what Fuki does with Doll's Box when she's teaming up from the girls from Gakuric Spin. But this almost even more so. Because this music's almost got more of a flighty, sort of joyful, anime bouncy sound to it. I know the rocky elements are there, but it's very much more. I mean, the rocky elements are very sonically with having the guitars and everything, but it more reminds me of the style of writing that you'd expect from sort of those old anime theme tunes. Again, going by a stereotype, I'm living in Japan, big fan of Japanese culture, but I'm not so familiar with anime. But from the stuff I've heard, going back like 20 years, and from James as well, it's definitely got that anime style of writing. A sort of style of writing that I think typified a lot of Japanese pop music during the late 90s and early 2000s. Yeah, so I guess I'd put a rough bracket of 1995 to 2005. And that's the style of everything sounding big and dramatic and being, as I said in the reaction, more engaging than necessarily catchy. There's a catchiness in that if you listen to them a few times over, the melodies are so distinct that they gain sort of a strange catchiness in that you can sing them along, but they don't have that immediate infectiousness of maybe some of the shorter choruses you get from Western music a lot of the time. Just to give an example of what I mean, if you're not familiar with that sort of concept, it's one we discussed a bit on this channel before, but it's the idea that if you have a short chorus, it's like a short phrase. It's easier to remember. You can recite it over and over. But as something becomes longer, it becomes harder to get it stuck in your head, although it does make it more unique. So something being longer can be more unique, but harder to get it stuck in your head quite as much. But if you can get one of those longer phrases, just like with speech, you know, with a spoken thing, like with a piece of music, if it's unique and distinct and quite lengthy, then it manages to be both unique in a much more specific way and also catchy from being, you know, so identifiable. I hope that comparison makes sense between sort of speech and melody, but there is a comparison there. So it's harder when you're writing in that sort of more traditional Japanese, well, I say traditional for Japanese pop style of writing, when you've got longer phrases, longer choruses, more chords. It's not just 3 or 4 chords and repeat. It's like 8, 9, 10. When you've got that kind of thing, it's harder to make something catchy, but it does result in some songs that are truly sort of cult anthemic. So listening to this, like I say, it's going for more of that sound. Now, I can't say that this managed to really get caught in my head, but certainly the feeling of the song was there. And again, this comes through from having a mixture both of the singer's big sort of loud, powerful voice mixed with that sort of energetic, powerful, happy, like a dog wagging its tail style of songwriting for the backing music. Which is, yeah, like I said, getting two really good things and jamming them together and making them work. Not the first to do it, but certainly a really great example of it working well. So the ethos of this was really strong. I liked as well how the vocals were played off between the backing singers who had the more sort of traditional high-pitched Japanese pop style voice. Again, nothing against that personally, but it works even better as a contrast in some places. I liked how they did that. They had, I couldn't really identify who was who, but I think one girl was kind of doing like the hype thing. One was just doing a genuine, like, cool nonce of backing style vocal, and then another one was doing a sort of mixture of both. There was a real sort of interesting, all the backing members were doing their little things to counterbalance and back up the lead singer, which just really played out well. To me, it worked a treat, and I thought it was just, it was a pleasure to listen to, because as well, another thing, when you've got a powerful voice at the front, and you've got a very heavily layered, many instruments going on in the background, keyboards and everything, and all kinds of sounds. Often, because the singer's voice has to be put at the front, if it's going throughout, sometimes it can kind of crush the backing a little bit if it's constant, because, you're getting this big sort of powerful voice giving it the front of the mix, and it doesn't give room for anything else to have room to go, except for maybe the drums and the bass. So, anything in the mid-range kind of gets a bit sucked into that void. So doing this was nice because it gave that balance. There were bits where the vocals dropped out completely for that. You get that heavy sort of head-banging riff bit in the bridge, followed by the guitar solo. And then the cool answer bits, like I say, really helped as well break it up. So the power of the vocals was felt because it was intermittent. It was there when it needed to be, back to when it didn't need to be. It meant the chorus was powerful because that was when the vocals just really let loose. Even if, like I say, maybe not the catchiest chorus. I don't know, maybe I'll wake up tomorrow remembering this one. But even without it being the catchiest chorus, the choruses felt like choruses. They felt big because that's when the vocal came in and really let loose. The verses had a nice feel, like I say, from that cool answer aspect. The backing music as a general was pretty much like we expected. I liked the writing. I liked the fact that it wasn't, like I say, lazily repetitive. Again, it can be good when you do that, but I have an admiration for that style of Japanese pop writing where you just sort of add these big, long progressions of like chords and melody, and I felt that there was a lot of that effort to kind of steer in that direction. There was a real hint that they were more playing towards that than any other style of writing. The playing the musicianship as well, nice and on point. It was fairly simple what was going on in the background, but it worked. I like the keyboard bits came in, again, intermittently. There was a lot of intermittent stuff in this, which was great. Things punching through when they needed to. Just like with the backing and lead vocals, the keyboard was there when it needed to be. It did that cool little riff at the beginning, which was fun. Gave it kind of almost like an EDM sort of, I sometimes say some of these things border on like a rave vibe. It had a bit of that going on. And it did that when it needed to. The riff needed to come around again. This to me was a song that really balanced on having a mixture of an overarching ethos of long progressions, not just short and repeat, long progressions, sort of interesting long sort of passages of music, passages of like melody, mixed with very short, sharp, intermittent changes of things coming in and out. Again, backing vocals, lead vocals, keyboards, all of that. The core values were the bass, the guitars and the drums, and they remain quite strong and steady. For a best part, they were there as an underbed to everything. They didn't really do anything that hugely stood out until that bridge where, like I say, I enjoyed that headbangy bit. I don't know about on the recording, but certainly live, and I'm going to just say this, for the live version, I felt they could have milked that a bit more, because that's a sort of good bit where everyone can just sort of like bop along, because it's a simple, you get those heavy sort of stabby guitar riffs. If you do that live, especially in a song like this, play it out, do it a few times over, because everyone can enjoy just jumping to that before you then run into the guitar solo. So on the recording sense, that would have probably been fine for me, but I was just sort of thinking live, I felt they should have milked that a bit more for what it was worth. But the guitar really came forefront in the bridge, doing a mixture of sort of simple, steady headbanging stuff, and then the guitar solo, which was a nice, again, showing two sides of guitar playing. I liked it. I thought it worked. I thought it was a nice balance there. So when I come away from this, I'm sort of thinking to myself, this is a group who their sound, their ethos, their the how dynamic it is, what kind of makes me want to listen again. I don't think this song is going to get stuck in my head. And I don't think it's one that I'm necessarily going to rush to come back to, only because of the fact that I don't think it's going to be one that I'm going to be constantly remembering in the sea of music we listen to. But it is going to be one of those ones, and I often point these out, well, when it comes around, you go, wow, why haven't I listened to this for a while? So why is this not one that I listen to more? So I will try to get it on a playlist or something. That's the problem when you've got reviewed so many songs, you've got so many songs in your catalogue, in your collection, that you end up like not coming around to some really great songs. I guess we should be happy with all the great music out there, that just the threshold of what is worth listening to on repeat play is so high that we're just surrounded by great quality music. Aren't we all lucky these days? So I think this is one where, like I say, although it might fade away and I might not be listening to it again in a few days from now, when it comes around, I'm going to appreciate the quality. And the quality is great, and I think that really sort of came forward to the fact that the first song I heard by them, I remember certain bits by it. I mean, like, there was a little piano break in that, which there was in this as well, which I thought at the time with such a sort of heavy guitar and synth-sounding song. When the piano comes in, it's a beautiful way of breaking it up, even if it's only there for, like, a few beats, a bar or so. It's beautiful, and those little touches, I remembered those about the first song more than I remembered anything about its actual melody, or even its feeling so much. And that's one of the things which made me, when I saw them come up again on my suggestions, I was like, yeah, you know what? I do want to check that out. And that's nice when a band, even if you can't necessarily remember the songs, leaves a feeling of quality, of uniqueness with you. I would say that a lot of this definitely, I picked up so many points that just immediately reminded me of the previous song. Even if, like I say, it wasn't necessarily caught in my head, the melody, the whole feeling of this reminded me of little things that were used in the previous song. Clearly, these guys seem to have a sound. I'm saying that after only hearing two of their songs, which are both singles, so, you know, forgive me if I'm totally off the mark there, but they appear to have a sound, and that's a great thing. But at least it's an interesting sound with lots of facets, with a lot of clever little techniques, with a lot of clever little sonic things going on. So I really enjoyed this. Like I say, I'll be honest with you, I'm going to have to really consciously think to come back to these guys, so remind me if you want me to. As always, I get in the comments, tell me what you think about this. I think this is one of those ones where, again, I think when I come back to this and just accidentally hear it again in 6 months or see it on my YouTube suggestions, I'll be like, oh wow, that was really good. So tell me what you think, guys. As always, get in the comments, justify your opinions. Everyone's opinion is just as valid as everyone else's. What you genuinely like is what you genuinely like, and if you can justify it, it makes it all the better. So tell us what you think, get in those comments. I'm looking forward to reading them, hopefully responding to as many as I can. As we've got this little break now, New Year's just started, I'm going to try and get in the comments a bit more. If you want to do more talking about music, remember we've got our Discord, which is full of people talking about Japanese music all the time, as well as all kinds of music. Great community to join, link in the description below. That link often goes dead, so feel free to search us if you can't find us from the link. The Reddit's a great place. We've got our Facebook, Twitter, they're all fairly active as well. I'm certainly trying to post as much as I can. Feel free, as always, to like, subscribe, do all the YouTubey things. Massive thank you to our Discord people for keeping this channel alive. You really do. I say it in every video because it's true. And thank you to you for making it through to the end of this waffle fest. So, until I hopefully see you in Japan soon for the next one of these. Until then, for now, ciao ciao.